This service is provided in high definition by freeconferencecallhd.com. There are 2 participants in the conference. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vidyavadhu Mataji, Dandat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. I'm just waiting for 6 o'clock to happen and then we'll get started. One more minute, let's wait for others to join. Right now I see Sutapa Mataji and Vidyavadhu Mataji. Welcome. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to our class on Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to read from 634. And those of you who are on the WhatsApp group, I have sent you the link there. And welcome. I see that on the phone I am joined by Preeti Radhika Mataji, Sonal Mataji, Sutapa Mataji, and Vidyavadhu. Thank you for joining the call. And we'll get started. And I am going to record the call also, the audio part of it. And we will get going with Mangalacharan prayers first.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
And let's get going with the recording.
The recording has started.
Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sadvaitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Go Premanande, Hare Hare Bo. So I'm going to unmute all the lines, and if you can confirm that you got the.
All participants are unmuted.
That you got the link that I sent you?
We got it.
Okay,
We
good,
got it.
good. Thank you. And I'm glad that Charu Mataji is able to join us today, and so is Medha Mataji. Welcome, both of you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, and so somebody has got a noisy line. If you are driving, then you might want to just mute yourself on your device so that you can unmute when you have reflections or questions like that. So we will get going with the verse that we have today. And anybody remember the verse that we did last time?
Yeah, 633.
633. So very good. So what will be the verse that we will do today? 634. It's not rocket science to figure that one out. Okay. So the verse says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balvadrinam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuri vasudushkaram. And the synonyms for this are Chanchalam means flickering, he means certainly, Manaha means mind, Krishna, O Krishna. Pramathi means agitating. Balvat, strong. Dridham, obstinate. Tasya, it's. Aham, I. Nigraham, subduing. Manye, think. Vayaho, of the wind. Eva, like. Sudushkaram, difficult. Right? So, Sudushkaram. So some of the key words here from this verse are chanchalam. Chanchalam, that is flickering. Something flickers. You know, it is here, it is there. It is here, it is there. Like that. And I'm just muting some of the noisy lines here because it has a, makes my thought process. So you can unmute yourself whenever you have a question to ask. And so chanchalam, the word chanchal is, flickering here and there, all over the place, doesn't stay at one place at a given point in time. And so chanchal means going here and there, and there's the word chal inside it, right? So chal, you all know, for those of you who know Hindi language, chal means that you are moving from this place to that place. Chalna, going from here to there, right? So chanchal is one who will go from here to there. And then achal is something that does not move. So unmoving things are called achal, right, in Sanskrit. So we have chanchalam. And then, of course, manaha means mind. And then there are some words that are being used to describe the mind. And one of them is pramathi, which is agitating. And then there is balvat, means strong. So bal means strong, like we have Balram, strong. Then dridham, obstinate, right? So there is the mind, which is chanchal, right? Which is agitating, which is strong, and which is obstinate, right? And let's see what the translation says. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the mind. So Krishna and Arjuna are having this conversation, and of course, this is chapter number 6, which is about Dhyan Yoga. And in this particular chapter, Krishna had, talked to him the whole process of how you start right from the beginning, from the neophyte stage, and then you reach the stage of perfection by performing Dhyan Yoga, and reach a stage where you are in complete equanimity. You don't see differences with people, and your mind doesn't go from here to there. It's constantly fixed in samadhi on the super soul in the heart. And then Krishna and then Arjun had started to express his inability. And he said that, you have told me about that, but to me it appears to be impractical, something that I cannot do. And and last time also he had said that the mind is restless and it is unsteady. And we had seen that, now this is Arjun who's speaking, who in that verse we heard, read that he's from the royal family. So it's not that he has got any burning issues that he has to sit down and think of, like who's going to cook and, the daily mundane chores. He doesn't have to think of that, right? But still he is saying, a person of that caliber is saying that, to me, it seems to be restless and unsteady. So he's showing his inability to do that. But something that we have to notice here is that he doesn't get into the argumentative mood with Krishna. Krishna is his teacher. He had accepted his teacher, Krishna as his teacher in the second chapter, and that's when the information had started to flow. We also read in the fourth chapter, Krishna was telling him that how do you get information? How do you get knowledge? And that is tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. And which was that if you want to learn something, then you have to find the jnanis, those who have seen the truth, and then you have to serve them. And pariprashnena, you have to ask them questions with a meek and humble mood. So here also, Arjuna is Krishna's friend, from the past, but now that he has accepted him as a guru, so he's giving him his due respects. He's not being argumentative. He's not telling, look here, as he was in the first chapter. He was giving so many reasons why he should not fight. But here, he has got reasons why, he cannot do that. But instead of just telling him that, this is bad and this is useless and how, no, he's just telling him that he's expressing his inability. He's saying that, Krishna, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. And then, so then he's giving the reason in this particular chapter where he's saying that the mind is restless, less stressed. So there were 4 characteristics of the mind that Arjun has described in this particular verse, right? And then in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada is saying that the mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it's certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium towards both friend and enemy, but ultimately, no worldly man can do so. For this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, the Katha Upanishad 1.3, 3-4, it says, Atmanam ratinam vidhi, shariram rathamevacha, buddhim tu sarathim vidhi, mana pragrahamevacha, indriyani hayanahur, vishayam steshu gocharan, atmendriya mano yuktam, bhuktetya ahur manishinaha. So this verse is describing how the soul is seated in this material body. So he's saying that the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and the intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. So it is understood by the great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of the medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of the modern man, right? The simile used here is appropriate. And one cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance, in all humility. The method prescribed is Savaya Mana Krishna Padaravindayoho. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. So there's the word agitate that was used here at the end, right? So let's go back to the synonyms one more time. And let's see, could somebody volunteer and tell me what are the 4 words that were used by Arjuna to describe the mind?
Chanchalam,
Chanchalam and Pramati, Balavat, and Drinam. Okay, and will you give me the meanings of these words?
Chanchalam is flickering, Pramati is agitating, Balavat is strong, and Dridam obstinate.
Okay, good. So if you now remember the acronym SORT, right? You know how you sort through the pages. Those of you who are in the computer science, know sorting of spreadsheet, sorting the numbers, alphabetical order, ascending, descending, that sort I'm talking about. S, O, R, and T, right? So this sort is an acronym that stands for the characteristics of the mind. So what do you think S stands for in sort? The S in sort stands for strong. Good, for 10 points. What does O stand for?
Obstinate.
And what does R stand for?
Restless.
And what does T stand for?
Turbulent.
Turbulent. Okay, so remember sort, S-O-R-T, sort describes the mind. Okay, so and I'd like to welcome Garima Mataji to the call, who joined us here, and Dhadmi Mataji, Chitra Shravan Mataji, and Archana Mataji. Okay, good. And let me see. Hare Krishna Danda Pranam. Okay, so sort, I will ask you next week, okay, about sort. So let's stick to this one now and go a little bit deeper into the purports. And so we know that Krishna had told Arjuna about this yoga practice, and Arjuna is telling him about his inability to focus on that, right? Now we have to remember that this is Arjuna who's talking, right? He's not an ordinary man. Arjuna has got very high focus, right? His focus is high. Can you give me an example that proved that Arjuna had very high focus?
When he was shooting the eye of the bird.
When he was shooting the eye of the bird. Very good. One more time. Another story of Arjun's focus. The Swayamvar. Yes. Yes, in the Swayamvar, right? So where he had to. This Swayamvar was even more difficult, right? Because he was blindfolded, or not blindfolded, sorry. But there was a fish that was moving on the top, on the roof, and he had to look at the reflection of the fish in the water below and then shoot. Aim at the eye of the fish, right? And he was successful. That's how he won the hand of Draupadi. right? So the same Arjuna, it's the same Arjuna is now saying here that, he has got some concerns about this Ashtanga yoga that Krishna is talking about equanimity of mind. He's saying it's not practical, right? And remember, he's the sword. He said that, it's very obstinate and it's restless, it's turbulence, it's very strong. And he's saying that, it is very difficult for me to capture it, and it is as difficult as, and what was the simile he used?
Wind.
As difficult it
wind.
is to do the wind, right? As difficult it is. It is so difficult to control the mind as it is to control the wind, right? And remember, Arjuna has got weapons. He's a warrior. He's got different types of weapons. So when we are talking about weapons, it's not just the swords and the maces, right? There were very, very different kinds of weapons that were there. They were almost weapons that were used, which belong to all the five gross elements. For example, there were the gross weapons. For example, a sword is made out of earth, right? It's made out of steel and iron that comes from earth. So there were gross elements made from earth. Then on top of that, there used to be water weapons. So if somebody has set fire, then you can throw a water weapon and extinguish the fire, which means that there were fire weapons also, right? And then there are air weapons also, like this um, the wind, the tornadoes and things like that, right? So Arjuna had, and then there are ether weapons too. So earth, water, fire, air, ether. So Arjuna had got weapons that can stop a storm, right? So many times we hear in our scriptures that there was a fight going on, and suddenly, and you'll see Bhagavatam doing a lot of that, explaining a lot of that, and we see that there were, it's somebody, the opponent stirs up a whirlwind, and now it's very difficult for people to stop it because the dust is going into the eyes and so on and so forth. And um, and so there used to be weapons to counteract that. So how do you stop air, right? So if air is moving, sometimes we hear, right, that storm is coming and Hurricane Katrina is coming over this. And so when these storms are coming, what breaks these kind of storms? And just give me a second over here, because I need to shut that window because the sun is coming into my eyes and I can't see here. But I'll be able to hear you as I go to stop the window. So tell me, what is how are these storms usually stopped naturally?
Can't hear you, Mataji. Mataji, we can't hear you. Hello? Yeah, she's coming. Wait. Oh, I see. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm back. So my question was that how do there's wind coming, say from I shouldn't be using this example, but suppose there's wind coming from China towards India. What is it that will break it? What will be a natural barrier that will break it?
Mountain.
The mountain, right?
Mountain.
Yeah. So whenever there was a wind weapon, somebody had a wind weapon. Arjuna had a weapon that could counter the storm. So he could build a mountain immediately in front of it so that the wind will be stopped. So, so the war of the previous ages were very fascinating and very interesting wars, right? Right. And there used to be, we have just come from listening to the Ramayana. There used to be snake weapons and Garuda weapons and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we have enough of weapons in Kali Yuga to create a havoc. So, but I just wanted to emphasize that Arjuna is not that he doesn't have the means to counteract these things, right? He has got the power to even to stop the wind, right? But he's saying that I cannot stop this wind-like mind, right? Like that. And he's right. He's right in saying that. If we have to remember that what he's talking about is that the characteristics that he has given, right? Now, when it comes to restlessness, have you seen restless people around you ever in life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
All right.
Mostly children.
Mostly children. Okay, very good.
Maybe us. Who knows?
Maybe elders. Okay. Good.
I'm
Okay.
a big restless person.
Are you a big restless person? Okay, good. Good. So, so talking about the big restless people, um, um, who do you think will be more dangerous? Um, will it be a child, a restless child will be more dangerous, or a restless adult?
Adult.
Restless adult. Okay. And then what was the other characteristic he described? Go to the sort that I told you, right? So I took the R, restless, right? Give me the S. S in the sort stands for strong. Okay. Is a child strong?
No.
Compared to an adult? Compared to an adult? Usually not, right? Okay. So if a child is restless, then you'll be able to control to a certain extent, right? Because the child is not strong. Okay. But the adult is strong. So if an adult gets restless, then it's difficult um, to control them, right? And then turbulent, right? Have you encountered turbulence in your life?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Okay. And what is the most common form of turbulence that we hear all the time? When
Money, financial problems.
Okay.
Problems, family, relative problems.
Okay. Right. So there is,
Problems.
yeah. So there's some violent thing is there, right? There's a violent thing there, and of course there's an unsteady. So it could be emotions that could be violent and going unsteady, or it could be as simple as that. Even the pilot of the plane has to come and tell you that for the next 30 minutes we are going to encounter turbulence. And what do? You just sit down in the plane and you chant Hare Krishna, right? So turbulence is there. And so how much of turbulence can a child create as compared to, how much of a turbulence an adult can create, like that, right? So it was, and then obstinate, right? So obstinate, what is obstinate? That you tell them not to do and they will do it. You tell them yeah, obstinate. Stubborn. Yes, I didn't hear it right the first time. So yeah, it means stubborn, right? So obstinate means stubborn, and basically that what it means is that you will just stick to whatever is in your mind, right? You will just refuse to change your position or your opinion or your course of action, despite as much somebody might persuade you to change. The mother might cajole the child to eat the dinner or eat healthy or whatever, drink his milk or her milk, and the child will not do it, right? But then when it comes to an obstinate adult, right? Obstinate spouse, obstinate boss, do these terms sound familiar to you all, or is it just me? Right? So you hear about all these things. Yeah. So it's a very common thing. So you hear about all this, and I'd like to welcome Anirudh also to the call, as well as Divyangi. Thank you. I'm so happy you have joined the call today. And so Hare Krishna, Varshana Mataji, Hare Krishna. So also, so this is how the mind is, right? So it is one thing that we have to remember is that the more subtle something is, the more difficult it becomes for us to control it, right? But before we go more into the details of this, right? I'd just like to go and read a few verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'm going to send you the link on the WhatsApp group to you, and let's get going there, okay? And I will need one of you to confirm that you're able to open it so that I can then start reading from it there. All right, good, right? So this is from the 10th canto, which is, killing of the demon Trinavrita. And I won't read all of it because it doesn't pertain to what we're talking about, but I will read from the specific verses. And I will start from verse number 18, 1-8, right? So in this chapter, a lot of pastimes of Krishna are happening, but I wanted to focus on one. One day, a year after Krishna's appearance. So how old is Krishna? 1 year. Mother Yashoda was patting her son on her lap, but suddenly she felt the child to become heavier than a mountain peak, and she could no longer bear his weight. Feeling the child to be as heavy as the entire universe, and therefore being anxious, thinking that perhaps the child was being attacked by some other ghost or demon, the astonished Mother Yashoda put the child down on the ground and began to think of Narayan. Foreseeing disturbances, she called for the Brahmanas to counteract this heaviness, and then she engaged in her other household affairs. She had no alternative than to remember the lotus feet of Narayan, for she could not understand that Krishna was the original source of everything. Text 20. While the child was sitting on the ground, a demon named Trinavrata, who was a servant of Kamsa's, came there as a whirlwind at Kamsa's instigation and very easily carried the child away into the air. Covering the whole land of Gokula with particles of dust, that demon, acting as a strong whirlwind, covered everyone's vision and began vibrating everywhere with a greatly fearful sound. For a moment, the whole pasturing ground was overcast with dense darkness from the dust storm, and Mother Yashoda was unable to find her son where she had placed him. Because of the bits of sand thrown about by Trinavita, people could not see themselves or anyone else, and thus they were illusioned and disturbed. Because of the dust storm stirred up by the strong whirlwind, Mother Yashoda could find no trace of her son, nor could she understand why. Thus she fell down on the ground like a cow who has lost her calf and began to lament very pitifully. When the force of the dust storm and the wind subsided, Yashoda's friends and other gopis approached Mother Yashoda, hearing her pitiful crying. Not seeing Krishna present, they too felt very much aggrieved, and joined Mother Yashoda in crying, their eyes full of tears. Having assumed the form of a forceful whirlwind, the demon Trinavita took Krishna very high in the sky. But when Krishna became heavier than the demon had to stop his force and could go no further. Because of Krishna's weight, Trinavrita considered him to be like a great mountain or a hunk of iron. But because Krishna had caught the demon's neck, the demon was unable to throw him off. He therefore thought of the child as wonderful, since he could neither bear the child nor cast aside the burden. With Krishna grasping him by the throat, Trinavrita choked, unable to make even a sound or even to move his hands and legs. His eyes popping out, the demon lost his life and fell, along with the little boy, down to the ground of Vraja. While the gopis who had gathered were crying for Krishna, the demon fell from the sky onto a big slab of stone, his limbs dislocated, as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. The gopis immediately picked Krishna up from the chest of the demon and delivered him free from all inauspiciousness to Mother Yashoda. Because the child, although taken into the sky by the demon, was unhurt and now free from all danger and misfortune, the gopis and cowherd men, headed by Nand Maharaja, were extremely happy. Okay? So, what did we hear in this pastime?
Krishna became heavier than mountain, and that brought Trinavata down.
Right. So, we see that Arjuna here is talking about wind, right? And not being able to control the wind, right? And he's saying that mind is even more difficult than controlling the wind, like that, right? So this mind, this sort, S-O-R-T, right? This sort is very difficult to control. And the reason for that is that you need, when it comes to the subtle, or even to, you always need a higher thing to be able to control a lower thing, right? For example, if there is a bucket of water and I tell you to go slap that water, is it an easy thing? Can you slap the water on the surface with your hands?
Yes. Oh, yes, Mataji.
And have the same effect as if you are slapping somebody's face?
No, Mataji. No, Mataji.
Right? So you see the difference? That when you try to slap the bucket of water, not the bucket, the water in the bucket, your hand will just go inside. Right? It won't have the same effect. So you cannot do that. Okay, now try slapping the air around you. Can you do that?
No, we cannot do that.
Right? So now try to slap your mind. Can you slap your mind? It's even harder.
We can do for sometimes, but Mataji, it don't last for long.
Yeah. So yeah, with your hands, you cannot slap it, right? You cannot slap it with your hand. You have to use something higher.
No.
What is the higher? What is the higher thing? What is it that is higher, right? What is in the hierarchy that we, right? In the hierarchy that we have. For example, you with your hands you can't push the water, but you can blow air onto the water and the water will start moving like that, right? So air is subtler than water, but it will be able to have effect on water like that, right? But water cannot push air like that, in that sense. Sometimes it can, but not always, right? So if you confine the air into a tube and then push water to it, then that's a different thing, that because you've already confined it. But free air, you cannot do anything to it. So we are talking about something, you require something more subtle to control something lower in the hierarchy. So where is the hierarchy defined of these elements? Which is higher, which is lower? Did we read about that somewhere in some scripture?
Para and apara energy of Krishna.
Krishna is transcendental. We're talking about material right now.
In 7th chapter, para and apara prakriti that he described.
We are talking about para. We are not talking about apara. We are talking about apara. So I'm asking the question about the hierarchy within the apara, within the material world. There is some sort of a hierarchy somewhere defined. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3.
Yes, Krishna talks about how like going higher in different yoga systems. He describes austerities of like controlling food and then controlling the senses, and then more than that, controlling the mind like that. Is that what you're referring to?
That's yoga. I was looking for an answer from chapter number 3, and I will give it to you all. Yeah. Go ahead. Who's giving me the answer? Good.
Yeah, Mataji, chapter 3, Krishna says like first, hierarchy goes like that. Like first it's the body, then comes the senses, and then the mind, then intelligence, and then the spirit soul.
Very good. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Yes, that's the hierarchy. And lowest is the dull matter, right? Dull matter cannot do anything like that, right? So for your records, yeah, I posted the verse there on the WhatsApp group. It's verse number 42 from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And if you like, then we can look at it. Why not? The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Right? So that is the hierarchy. So if you want to control your mind, what are you supposed to use? Pick up from the hierarchy. You have to use your intelligence, right? You have to use your intelligence. And then, you will use your intelligence, and your intelligence as you grow more and more, trying to control this, trying to control that. What if the intelligence itself is polluted? What does the soul do? Then you have to cross and go beyond what Medha was saying, the para and the apara, right? So then go beyond that. Go beyond. If your intelligence itself is not able to guide you, but somehow, if you're lucky that you get the association of pure devotees of the Lord, then they will help you. They'll be able to help you on that, right? Because what happens with this mind is, and I'm just obstinate, obstinate is something that is really something to really guard against, something to really guard against. So here is somebody who's obstinate, restless, and obstinate, and then strong, right? Like that. So, and turbulent. All of them combined together is going to be a bad thing. And the obstinacy is like, even after knowing this, even after you know it, the stubborn people, it's not that they don't understand. They understand it, but they still do it, what their mind tells them to do, or whatever they want to do, they will do it. So here, the lowest are the senses, and the above the senses is the mind. The mind controls the senses, right? So because of some previous desires that you have, then mind will tell the senses, hey, go out and look for this, look for that, look for this, look for that. And they will, and it's a teamwork there. Senses will go out very nicely, gather the information, come back and give it to the mind, like that. And this way, then, the sensual enjoyment happens, that your senses go out and they capture some information, whether it is taste, whether it is sight, whether it is sound, and then you get the feeling. But by trying to enjoy material nature, things which are there in the material world, we know, the mind knows that it is not real happiness. It is not real enjoyment. The mind knows that. As you go through that process of trying to enjoy this material world, you will know that it is not real happiness. But because the mind is so stubborn, that the mind will forget. So mind also has got this property of forgetting. And who will help the mind forget? Okay, before that, why does the mind want to forget? Because the mind wants to go back and enjoy it again. So again and again, it'll go there. And punar charvita charvanana. We'll go back and do the whole thing again and again, again and again, again and again, because the mind is stubborn. Like that, right? So we have to do something about it. We have to go, get our intelligence, and you have to control our senses. Because in the third chapter itself, Arjun was asking Krishna that, what is it that makes a person do sinful activities as if against his will? Like we could be even in our devotional life, we could be, we are all striving to be perfectly good, and then something just overcomes us. He's asking, what is it? He says, it is lust only. And he says there are three places where it is, stays: mind, senses, and, the heart, like that, intelligence, mind and the senses. That's where the lust lives. And so you have to just control it by using, doing spiritual practice. And then he's now telling him the various spiritual practices. He has given him, okay, option 1, option 2, okay, chapter number 6, you want to do Dhyan Yoga, here is how you can do it. And Arjuna is saying that I can't, it is very, very difficult for me to do that. Right? So here, there's a very interesting story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's a story of the Avanti Brahman, also known as the Bhikshu Geet. So Avanti Brahmana was a Brahmana. He had a family, he was a Grihastha Brahmana, and he used to do all kinds of things, illegal, to make money and for his family to enjoy and all that. And then, to cut a long story short, he falls into bad days and not able to produce that much of money. And the same family for whom he used to do all these activities, now abandoned him. So he goes from place to place, and then, finally he realizes that, this is not, what I was doing is not right. And, it was just, I just got caught up too much into my family life. So let me just go and leave them and go away. He went out. And then he went out and he realized that whatever bad things I was doing was bad. Now I should focus my mind on the Lord. So he focuses his mind on the Lord. And so he sits down. But then the people know him to be a bad person. So what the people start saying now is they start saying, hey, you know what? This man, he's not pretending. Yeah, we all know what a bad person he is. Now he's pretending. Now he's going to cheat. Now he's put on some new pretext, and now he's going to cheat us. So they started, they would throw stones on him and and things like that. And then, so then all these things that are happening to him, all these miseries that are happening to this Avanti Brahmana, he realizes that, whatever is happening to your life, he comes to a good, point of understanding that whatever happens to your life, and Krishna says that to Uddhava also, that we always talk about the law of karma, right? We talk about the law of karma and we say that you do something and you will have to bear the results of that, right? Whatever goes around comes around, right? So if we are suffering in this world, we say that it is because of our karma, right? So far, so good. Everybody agrees to that, right? So when we have, right? But as you dig deeper into the Srimad Bhagavatam, you find, and then we feel helpless, right? We feel helpless that, I do not even know. As Archana Mataji was telling us the other day, she was saying, I don't even remember, right? And is there some way that I can remember? And I told her why we should not remember our past. And so we are cornered for something that we did in the past and for something for which we might be repentant now. But we have no control. We are just told that the laws of material nature are so stringent that you cannot do anything. You have to undergo that. Everybody has to undergo that. Steve Jobs had cancer. This one had this one had that. Right? So that's one answer. But as you go deeper into devotional service and as you understand your own body, right? The reality is that yes, because of your karmic reactions, you will get misery in your life. Are we facing some miseries these days? Of course.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So the question is that, so there is misery and there will be misery. Why will there be misery? Because I consulted the life's manual, Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says this is dukkhalayam. So it's a dukkhalayam. You will get miseries. What else were you expecting? Right? So this is a dukkhalayam. There will be dukh. Right? There will be dukh and sukh. Sukha means space, right? Kham mano buddhirevacha, the verse that Medha was telling us. So kha is space or ether, and su means good space. So sukha means happy space, and dukha means bad space. So you will enter into those situations where you are in dukha because this is a dukhalayam. The whole space is full of dukha, this world. So there will be miseries, but it is up to you, it is up to the soul with the help of the mind to decide how am I going to react to these miseries that have come. So miseries are inevitable. You will get them, but suffering is a choice. You want to suffer it or you don't want to suffer it, like that, And I have a classic two classic examples that from my own life. I remember the first time I went for acupuncture treatment, and of course it's a needles, and it's not just one needle. It'll be like 50, 60, 70 needles they'll put in your body. And so the doctor would put one needle and I would be like, ouch. And she'll put one more, like, ouch. Like, I would hold her hand like, no, like that. And then she stopped, and then she said, embrace your pain. And that was an eye opener for me. Like, I had only learned how to resist pain. I never knew how to embrace pain. And the moment I started that, the pain went away. And just a few days ago, I had been sitting for a very long time, not advisable at all. And just working. And at some point in time, I put up my foot and, I curled my leg underneath. And so it stayed there for a couple of hours till I went to sleep in the night. So when I stretched out my leg to go to sleep, it was hurting so bad, very, very bad. And everything I tried, I put some medicines and it was just hurting. Now I don't take painkillers, so there was no way that I could, avoid that pain. And at one point in time, I just said, Krishna, let the pain come. I don't care. If I'm supposed to feel the pain, let it be there. And you will not believe, like within 3 minutes flat, I was fast asleep. No control of the pain. So through your mind, through your mind, you can always decide what you're going to do with that situation that has come in front of your life. So yes, Krishna will tell Arjuna later on that how can he control that, control his mind. But this is what it is right now. Here we are, full of miseries, but mind can become our friend, right? And mind is the biggest enemy, and mind can become a friend, right? In which chapter did we read that about mind being a friend and enemy both?
Sixth chapter only, Mataji.
Sixth chapter only. Very good. Yes. And was it in the beginning or was it in the end?
Yeah, it was in the beginning.
It was in the beginning.
6.5.
Yeah, very good. Right. Yeah, 6.5 and 6, actually, both the combination. So it says, Udhared Atma Atmanam na Atman Avashadiyet Atmeva hi Atmano Bandhir Atmeva Ripur Atmanaha. So it says that mind is Atmano Bandhur, means it is the friend of the mind, friend of the soul. And then also he says Ripu. Ripu means enemy. So he's also the enemy. Right? So then what happens to a person who has conquered the mind? He tells that in the next verse, and I'm going to give you that next verse because this is relevant to us in what we are discussing today. And I'm needing and reading for a confirmation, somebody who can tell me for 10 points that they were able to open the link. Okay. Bandhuratmanas tasya yenatmevatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve varetatmeva shatruvat vartetatmeva shatruvat. So what he's saying is, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Right? So yes, Arjuna is saying, and Arjuna is asking that question on behalf of us, because all of us have got this situation, right? And what is our situation? Our situation is described very nicely in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the beginning itself, in the first chapter itself, not very deep into the first chapter, 10th chapter itself of the first chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam, our situation is very clearly defined. And if you can confirm that you got the link, then we will read it together.
Yeah, we did.
You got it? And it's saying, Priyan alpa yusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadrutaha. And the translation, the famous translation is, O learned man, one. So this is Shaunaka Rishi, he's talking to Sutta Goswami. He's saying, O learned one, in this age, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So, which part of the verse is telling you about the mind?
Always disturbed.
Always disturbed for 50 points. Yes. Right? It is restless, obstinate, it's strong. And what was the last one? Turbulent, right? Is that enough disturbance or what? Right? It's a lot that we have on our plate going on, right? So how do we overcome that? How can we overcome that? We have to raise ourselves to a higher level, right? Do devotional service, right? So as you start doing the devotional service, Adau Shraddha, and I talked about this in my lecture on Saturday evening. Adau Shraddha. First you have faith. It is not strong faith. It is Komal Shraddha, like a banana tree. Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha. Because of that faith that you have got, you'd like to do some Sadhu Sangha. So you'll go there to the temple. You'll come to ISKCON temple. Then you'll say, I want to see what the Brahma Kumaris are doing. Then you'll go and say, I want to see what Art of Living is doing, like that, right? You're having Sadhu Sangha everywhere, right? So 6 to 7, I'll be here. 7 to 8, you will rush to that place. 8 to 9, you'll go someplace else. You do, yeah, you have some faith, yeah, little bit here and there. But you're not doing anything. Adau Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Tatha Bhajana Kriya. Now, when you're observing and watching all these people in these organizations, and then you come and say, oh, ISKCON is the best, let me come there and let me do something. Bhajana Kriya. Now you'll start doing things together with the devotee. Right? And then as your stress, your Shraddha, your faith will become stronger. And then you will take more formal things like become initiated by a spiritual master. Atha Bhanjana Kriya. Then the Anartha Nivritti will start. The bad things will go away. This obstinacy of the mind, this restlessness of the mind, slowly, slowly, slowly they will go away. It might take a long time, but it will go away, right? So then, Adhav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tata Anartha Nivritti. After that, you will have determination, Nishtha. So this is the stage where when you come to Nishtha, very strong, right? Asakti, very strong, your ruchi, you develop a taste. Then asakti, very strong attachment, right? And then bhava and prema, that's how you go through the 9 stages of devotional service, right? So when you're coming to, anartha nivarti, bad habits are all gone, cleanse, your mirror of the mind is getting clear, cheto darpana marjanam is happening. And then you come to a higher stage of nishtha. At that stage, your mind starts to become your friend. So this obstinate little wild animal, right? Like a wild horse, you'll be able to put a rein on the horse. Otherwise, in today's words, we already read what happens to the jiva soul who is sitting in this body, in the chariot-like body. The senses are the horses and the mind is there. We're trying to control it, but then it's controlling them and taking the senses in the wrong direction, right? A bad mind will take you there. But a mind that has been purified will be guiding the senses to engage in the service of the Lord. And that is the sum substance of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, the ultimate of Bhakti Yoga is that you engage all your senses in the service of the Lord. Okay, so with this, I'll stop here and open up for any questions or any comments that you have, any reflections, anything that comes to your mind. And if you're muted, then you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I ask the question that we couldn't finish last week?
Yeah, and what was the question? Can you just remind me really quickly?
Yes, so we were discussing about doing like offenses against seniors, and then when Mataji shared her experience where the reflection was how Krishna reminded her of the Gyan, which is like it's nobody's fault, and it's just matter of action and reaction from the past or present. And then actually I finished listening to all the Ramayana lectures and the reading, and I was very convinced, and I'm very convinced that yes, we cannot really blame anybody else for whatever good or bad happens. It's good is the result of the mercy of the Lord, and whatever bad is actually a reaction to our own ignorance or sinful actions. And then in that light, that question I originally had about why why there is fear of offending a senior person. I still do not understand why that phenomena exists if all of this is true.
All of what is true?
That whatever one experiences, whoever it is a reaction of their own past action, or is a way of fulfilling some prophecy or some action of the Lord. So then why do
they react and why do they curse, right? That's the question.
Oh, no, that question you answered.
Okay.
But like even in today's world, why are junior devotees told to be afraid of offending senior ones? That part I do not yet understand.
Okay. So offending anybody is nothing to do with junior and senior as such, like, in a broad sense. Nobody should offend anybody, right? Because we are reading chapter number 6 of Bhagavad Gita, right? So nobody should be offending anybody, period, right? But when you're junior, when you're junior, you should be respecting the senior, because we cannot misbehave with the senior and then bring in the law of karma as our lawyer, and say that, well, you know what, I'm behaving in this way because you are, if I behave nastily with you, you have to apply the shastras and think that this person is behaving with me like this because I must have done something in the past. So there should be no question of any offenses to be taken like that, right?
Yes.
Right? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So again, I will go back to the Ramayana, and because there were people who were offended, right? And they would curse or say bad or feel bad about it. So, and then we also have to look at Ramchandra. So when you go to the Ramayana, number one, I also wanted to clarify this because we read a lot from the past times, and we read, we have just finished reading the Ramayana, and we will find certain things that might appear to be very strange to us. Like, why is this person doing? But isn't that person already associate of Krishna? So why is he doing that? So in the Ramayana, for example, just on Sunday, a lady had asked this question in Guru Maharaj's class. She was saying that we always say that there is, lust, there is anger, there's pride, there's greed, right? And there's envy. So the enemies of the soul, like that. And all of them can be utilized in the service of the Lord except for envy. So that's what we are all told, right? That you cannot utilize envy in the service of the Lord in any way. But then she came and said that Manthara was, envious, and she convinced Kekai about all that will happen if Ram is to get coronated. So, and there it said that actually Ramchandra used that as an excuse to leave the kingdom because of all that happened as a consequence of that envy, to leave that kingdom and go and kill Ravana. So wasn't envy used in the service of the Lord, right? So we have to remember this, that these are pastimes, these are dramas that they are doing, right? So if in a drama, if in a play, Krishna is utilizing the envy for doing his own purpose, for doing his own thing, that's a different thing, right? That's a play. After all, those who were participating in Krishna's Leela are not, too bad or like that, they have got something there to participate in that play. So we have to take it in that light. So when it comes to the scriptures, always Prabhupada says that if you don't understand it for some time, just believe in it. And that is Adau Shraddha. Faith in the scriptures has got to be there, right? So since we are reading this, I just wanted to clarify that for everybody on the call, that just don't take them that okay, it means this, so it means it just means like that. Second thing, and this is about, we are all sentient beings. So again, there are instances, there are stories. For example, this particular story that I told you today about the Avanti Brahmana, right? Avanti Brahmana was bad, then he became good, and then people still would throw stones at him. And then, he at one point in time realized and, stopped reacting to them and things like that. There's again a story of Shraddha-devi, who is the incarnation of Lord. He comes in the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto of Bhagavatam. And he actually, when he retired, he was a king, and when he retires after putting his son Bharat on the throne, Bharat is the same one with the deer incident. He puts his son on the throne, and then he goes off and becomes a sannyasi. And while he was a sannyasi, people used to do horrible things to him, horrible things. I mean, you just have to go and read, 5.5 of Bhagavatam to get to see what, but he stopped reacting. So that is a very, very high stage. That's a very, very high stage that people don't react. Now, also, when it comes to reacting or not reacting, you will also see that all the time in your life. When you look at, other people's lives, you look at couples who are there, you will see that a man could be obnoxious, horrible, treating his wife very badly, that you would like to get up and slap him, right? But the wife is quiet. The wife is not saying anything. Does it mean that the wife is not feeling bad? No, because the soul is sentient, the soul feels. And between the feeling, remember I talked about the 4 stages? There is the thinking, there is the feeling, there is the willing, and there is a doing. So these souls who have got so much of strength in themselves that they know that between the time that the thought comes to them that my spouse is behaving obnoxiously with me, and the time when it comes to acting on it, they have a huge gap, and in between they're able to reason it out by using superior intelligence to say that this is not going to help, this is not going to help me. But it doesn't mean that they don't feel bad. So that is why everybody is told not to offend anybody. And then when you take it to a higher level where you connect it with the famous 15.7 words, Mame Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, that all souls are parts and parcel of Krishna. So in the beginning, it is difficult to have that kind of a vision. And we are also seeing that in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, that people don't have that. It's at a very high yoga Ruda stage. The perfect stage is when he's sama. He's same to everybody. He sees the soul. He sees Krishna in everybody. And how does he see the other soul? He sees that soul as, this is a part of my beloved. So at that high stage, there is a love that has come and developed for Krishna that naturally you will not want to offend them. So this is spontaneous behavior. But in the beginning, all of us are not spontaneous. I mean, we have spent millions of births just enjoying ourselves. It's just in this birth that I came across Bhagavad Gita from Prabhupada, that I've started to, turn my face towards better things. So all that sanskars which are there in my mind of offending people, misbehaving, are still there. And what am I doing? I'm practicing to control them. I chant in the morning. I read scriptures, right? Like that I will do. So when a person is neophyte, when a person is junior, right, they will be told not to offend others. Because even if the other person does not react, it doesn't mean that inside that feeling is not there. The feeling will still be there. Right? And the amazing, yeah, and the interesting thing is that as you go to an even higher level, and people say in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna 12th chapter 15th verse, Krishna tells Arjuna that yasman no dijite loko loka no ujjute chayaha. So one who does not agitate other people and is not agitated by others. So here, the takeaway for us is that people will say, like, yeah, fine. I never do anything wrong to others. Right? I never do anything wrong to others. Yeah. Yasman no ujite loka. But loka no ujite jaya. You should also not get disturbed by others doing it to you. And when is the time that we get disturbed by others? When they hurt us, right? When they neglect us, when they insult us, when they don't do anything that we wanted, that is when we get hurt. And that is the time for us to deliberate on Bhagavad Gita 12.15. It is a difficult verse to do. It's a very, very difficult verse to follow. That, okay, I am not supposed to behave badly with others. But when others behave badly with me, I'm also not supposed to give it back to them. It's a very powerful verse. Does that make sense, Nida?
Yes, Mataji, you said it so lovingly. I could really just feel a lot of love in your voice. And I do understand now that the part that was missing from, all the previous reading that I was listening to was the part that soul is sentient, so it does feel, even if, and I really like your description of that, because they are elevated souls, they are able to create a gap between action and have a higher intelligence to reason with themselves or with their mind, that to not react, but ultimately it's Krishna residing, so we do not want to offend. So now I do understand it. So thank you very much.
Yeah. The connection has got to be with Krishna. And when you look at the lives of these elevated souls, and it was just a few weeks ago in one of the lectures from Vaisheshika Prabhu, he was talking about the spiritual master. And we just think it's an offense actually to think the spiritual master to be an ordinary human being. And spiritual masters are not ordinary human beings. They are representative of God, and there's no difference between a spiritual master and God. The scriptures say that. And so look at the way a spiritual master behaves. And this is like completely foreign to us, or at least foreign to me. They say that if a disciple has got doubt on his spiritual master, right? If a disciple has got a doubt in the spiritual master cries and blames himself for not being able to remove the doubt from his disciple's mind. I mean, how lofty is that? Instead of saying that this disciple sucks, he's good for nothing, he's useless, he doesn't listen to my lecture, doesn't study, doesn't listen to instructions, and he's doubting. Instead of that, the spiritual master thinks this way. It's very high, but we should aim for that. Why not?
Yes, Mataji, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Midha. And then any other questions or reflections? Anything anybody heard, liked, did not
Hare
like?
Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the nice class, Mataji. One takeaway from the class is like, if we control, because our spirit soul is superior to all like mind, intelligence, and all senses. So if we directly engage our soul with the Supreme, that is Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then there will be chances like we can control the body needs of the soul, which are mind, intelligence, and the senses.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji. And yes, Mataji, I really like the things like the incidents which you shared, like you need not to feel the pain, you need to embrace the pain. Actually, I want to share my also one of the experiences which I had recently. Like we do Ekadashi, so on Dashmi in the night, I was having severe headache, Mataji. I was not able to bear it. So I was like, I don't want to bear the pain, and I don't want to take the medicine as well, because I thought like anyways tomorrow is Ekadashi, so I don't know the ingredients of the painkiller. So I was just praying to the Lord, and please can you just help me? I'm not the body, I'm the soul, like that. I was just uplifting my mind, and you won't believe, within like 4-5 minutes, it's just gone. My headache was completely gone. I was like, and I fell asleep also very fast. So I was like, wow. So if you sincerely devote your mind to Krishna, it really helps. So that's what I just want to glorify the Bhagavad, so I just wanted to share it with you all.
Thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji. Thank you so much for the divine lecture, as always. Thank you so
Krishna
much.
Katha is always nice. Yeah. It's your desire, it's your taste. Yeah. This is taste. You have developed taste for Krishna Katha. That's all that it is. Yeah.
No, Krishna Katha is also nice, and the preacher who is speaking the Krishna Katha, that also is, if the preacher is not saying the Krishna Katha in a nice way, then you won't be able to grasp it, because we are neophytes, Mataji. Everything is so nicely, so we are able to grasp the Krishna, because Krishna, you cannot understand Krishna. Even the Brahma and Indra, they are not able to understand Krishna. Who are we to understand him? But by the grace of you, we are able to understand him.
It's a very nice way that you put it. Thank you for your compliments, but I will have to push them up the parampara because that's where they come from. If you have met me 10 years ago, I would have given a lecture on some very totally different obnoxious topic. And a very interesting thing is that even Prabhupada used to say that when he used to give a lecture, those were recorded, and sometimes he would ask his disciples to replay those lectures because he wanted to listen to them, because he said that what he spoke was not something that he spoke. He used to say that Krishna spoke through him. So Krishna just uses, so he just uses some bodies here and there. So I would say that I'm just fortunate that Krishna is using me. So use me, Krishna. in the material world, normally the thing is like, he used me, she used me. But here in the devotional life, the equation is completely different. It's like,
But you make it so interactive, Shraddha Mataji, that it's hard not to be interested.
Very interesting point that you bring. And I have to tell you this, that the interaction is a two-way thing. I can't make you interact. Oh my goodness. Making the student interact is more difficult than capturing the wind. Okay, yeah. So it's a two-way thing. It's a very enthusiastic student will make the teacher give more. You know, it's a reciprocal thing. Yeah. If you all go to sleep, then I will also sleep here. Believe me, yawns get carried over the phone like that. But yeah, I'm just happy to be of some service to all of you. And I actually also wanted to thank those who are watching us on the Facebook. This call actually is happening over audio conference call, and I just decided to share it with more. And I also wanted to especially thank Rohini Mataji, the young Rohini from our temple that most of you know. She actually did when people join on Facebook, there's for a little time in the beginning before all of you join me on the phone, I play a little music there every now and then. And so that music was composed for me by Rohini Mataji. So I just wanted to thank her as well for doing this excellent service for Krishna. And it's 12 minutes past the hour. So if there are no more reflections, then can I have your permission to call it a day on this call? And those of you who are enthusiastic for Krishna Katha, then tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning, we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita. We will broadcast that on Facebook. So in case you miss, you will have access to the recording. And those calls actually happen on Zoom. So you are able to interact. If you want to interact face-to-face, then you're more than welcome to join Zoom. You can send me a text message later on, and I can add you to the appropriate WhatsApp group so that you get the Zoom ID and the password and all those kind of things you can get. Otherwise, Facebook is always there for all of you. So thank you so much, dear devotees, for keeping it lively.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Yeah. So what time is it? 7:15. Sonal Mataji, are you still on the line?
Yes.
Will you call me on my line so that we can finish that meeting that we were planning to have?
Okay.
It won't take more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, just give me 2 minutes.
Sure. Take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Goodbye.